to everybody. This morning, I'm very, very pleased to have with me Liz Nottingham, who is the chair and founder of Back to Business Ship. Also, she's a business consultant and coach. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
And Sharon Lloyd-Barnes, who is commercial director and inclusion lead at the Advertising Association and is a returner alumna. Now, today we're going to have a conversation about returners and the Back to Business Ship program, which is a returners program for carers that have been out of their careers in marketing and communications for over 3 years. The program's been running since 2012, and over 250 women and men have found their way back into their careers as a result of the 6-day bootcamp program. So I've got a few questions for Liz and Sharon. So my first question to Liz. So in your opinion, why is it that so many companies talk, and we know a lot of them, talk such a good game on returners, but still aren't actually hiring as many as they could do and probably should do, particularly as we're in 3% unemployment at the moment?
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Amanda? And we've spoken about this for many years. And I was reflecting on this for the session this morning. I mean, I was very fortunate, really, I suppose, in my career, because I worked 4 days a week for 22 years. And I find it really disheartening that we're even having this conversation this morning, because it shouldn't be a thing, should it, really? And what I'm noticing is I'm wondering about the role of HR. And I'm wondering about the role of either recruitment partners or internal recruitment teams, because I'm wondering if there's a bit of a bias going on. I see a lot of job ads that want people to hit the ground running. And I'm wondering whether women, carers, men and women, our programme, as we know, is for men and women, primarily for women. But I wonder whether they, and I don't like even using the term they, because I'm noticing I'm othering them in that language, whether it all just gets they're a bit too difficult. They're gonna, probably have requirements that we can't meet, or they're gonna need special training, or they need to be treated differently and in a special, careful way. So we'll stick with what we know rather than what we don't know, because that's the easier thing to do. So I think there's something around that. I think it's really important to have an HR team who are advocates of this, and that requires probably a lot of time spent working with and talking to line managers, because we all know that when agencies are in a crisis with their clients, they want something that is familiar and known and is going to work. My challenge back to that is, having worked on the Future of Work report about 15 years ago now with the IPA, in partnership with the IPA, we actually did a round table with some clients, and we talked about the future of work, and we talked about flexible working way before COVID days. And it was quite interesting that there is a bit of a myth that the client won't like it. The client won't like reduced working hours. And what was interesting from our round table was that they said, the ones that were there, that they would far rather have 3 days or 4 days of Liz and Amanda, who are great, than no days of Liz and Amanda and somebody else. So my invitation really for agencies in particular is to partner with and collaborate and have what you might think is a difficult conversation, but actually may not be a difficult conversation at all, because your clients are facing exactly the same challenges with their talent as you are. So would it not be far more grown up to sit and talk about it, rather than have a view, a limiting view, that is preventing talented, experienced, mature people to return back into your business and solve all of your vacancy crises? And
do you think it's different within in-house marketing, comms, media teams? Either of you? Do you think, I mean, are we seeing that they are more progressive, less progressive, or the same as agencies in attitude?
I think we're seeing in the advertising industry, I think people, it feels like a lot of our members are quite progressive around this. It's been a sort of happy accident that's fallen out of the pandemic with, us realising overnight that we can actually, all adopt hybrid working. I think that's really positively impacted parents particularly, and that's men and women that I speak to within our membership. So, you know, even people in quite senior positions are now able to go and do the sort of the school pickup, or you know, school related activities. So, but I know talking to them in terms of the work we've done, we've got a very tangible action plan to improve inclusion and representation across the ad industry. And that includes marketing teams at brands and advertisers, includes big commercial media owners, as well as agencies. And all I would say are adopting quite what we now term, I suppose, or less so, but progressive practices, seeing the benefits of, I mean, for me, it all falls under the talent crisis that I think every industry is facing at the moment. We're particularly seeing that in advertising. People are looking at, you know, improving their work-life balance. They want to do something different now. They've experienced something very different for the last couple of years. And I think for us to be able to tap into that, as you say, Liz, a sort of whole, you know, community of people that we haven't been able to reach before because of our working practices, to be able to tap into that now is fantastic. And I think the more we can do to flag the benefits of it, the better. We did 2 years ago, did the first all-in census, which had over 16,000 responses, and women are 10 times more likely than men to believe that parenting has negatively impacted their career. So I think now is the time to really tackle that, and do everything we can to encourage them back into the workplace.
Now, I know that you've got 2 returners in your team at the advertising association. Can you just talk us through your experience?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, as a returner myself, a long time ago, I'm obviously going to say that there are a huge benefit to any business. But we did proactively recruit returners. That's what we wanted for these 2 particular roles at the AA. They were to lead on 2 very different projects. But I think just knowing that there are just so many elements, I was going to say, I don't know what the better word for that is, traits that returners seem to share, which is, and I think it's just an inevitable thing that you learn as a parent. So if we'll put all returners into the parenting bucket, but I know people are returning for many different reasons. It's not always from parenting. But there's a load of skills that you learn as a parent, whether it's you know, the amount of work you can get done in a very small amount of time because you're up against it, negotiation skills with children that definitely lend themselves to a workplace environment. And I think all of those things I've seen play out in the year and a half, 2 years now that we've worked with these 2 fantastic people we got from a returners program. They happen to be women, but I you know, just firmly believe that what they bring to the work, both of them are on 4 days, they do it in a very different way. So someone does short days across the whole week, someone else takes 4 days. And but you wouldn't know. I mean, it hasn't affected the output. I would say the output is much higher than it possibly would be if they were full-time staff.
It's a bit about what they actually do, Sharon, because these are not sort of junior roles, are they?
No, absolutely. They both lead on a project. So one leads on I lead on the inclusion program, but she works in my team to deliver a very, very important sort of the work I've just referenced, which is the all-in. It's the inclusion initiative for the entire ad industry, and so she works on that, and it's a huge amount of work. It's just evolved from a kind of an idea 2 years ago to something now it's become the industry benchmark for inclusion and representation. So it's huge responsibility. There's a huge amount of work with it as well, and I just feel because there's such a strong value exchange for returners in terms of, you know, the benefits of being able to juggle 2 very important roles in your life. I think that gratitude plays into the work that anyone is doing, because, you know, there are benefits to being able to work around your other responsibilities. And so I just see it in spades every week. So there's the inclusion piece, and then the other manager is leading on our climate action initiative, which again is now, I was going to say it's the whole UK ad industry, it's now gone global. So it's the US, and increasingly we're expecting about 4 more countries to join in the next year. So massive piece of work again, and not impacted at all by the fact that, you know, it's on a 4-day